Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the April 2nd Zoning Committee work session. My name is Douglas A. Welton. I am the chairman of the Zoning Committee. This meeting is being streamed online via YouTube in accordance with all applicable meeting statutes. Requirements for notice, access, and minutes are being met by electronic means. I've got a few items of business for everyone that's in the room before we get started. Please keep your mics muted when you are not speaking. Also, if you are making a motion or a second, please state your name. The public hearing for the zoning petitions we're going to hear tonight have been held at a previous date in front of Charlotte City Council and the Zoning Committee. This meeting is not a continuation of those hearings, so there will be no public input unless the committee has a specific question, in which case the committee will suspend the session and ask the petitioner directly. We'll begin with introductions, and we will introduce the Zoning Committee first, and we'll begin all the way to my left with Commissioner Winokur.
Rick Winokur, Planning Commission.
Shauna Neely, Planning Commission.
Rebecca Wilden, Planning Commission.
Clayton Seeley, Planning Commission.
Terry Lansdale, Planning.
We will not be joined by Commissioner Will Russell tonight. He is in Disneyland or something.
Seriously?
Disney, which one's on the East Coast? Disney World? Or
Disney.
World? Okay, I heard little kids screaming in the background when I talked to him earlier today, or that's his excuse. So we'll go on from there. Yeah, well, we'll deal. Let's begin with the introduction of our staff now, after everybody's gotten so excited about this whole Disney thing. And we will begin with Mr. Patton all the way to our left.
Thank you. Dave Penton, Entitlement Services Manager.
Teresa Montalvo, the new rezoning program manager.
Michael Russell, rezoning staff.
Max Oliver, rezoning staff.
Joe Mangum, rezoning staff.
Alan Goodwin, planning staff.
Laura Harmon, Planning Staff.
Raquel Jones, planning staff.
Emma Canarajas, planning staff.
All right, and have we got anybody online? The usuals, are you there?
Holly Kramer, planning staff.
Jay Carpenter, CDOT.
We can't hear you if you're there.
Drew,
Say
CDOT.
something.
Can you hear me?
Okay,
Can you hear us? Or can you hear me?
yeah,
Don't worry, we'll get you fixed up soon.
yeah. Some people will do anything to get out of a meeting, I suppose. Well, that means that they can hear me. This is this is good technology. Are we still going to work this, or are we going to just let it ride? Oh, and while we're adjusting, we will say hearty welcome to Teresa, who's joining us for her first meeting as our new rezoning program manager. And we hope not to scare you off after this. Okay.
If you click off of that, it looks like it should be muted. Like up there. It
Yeah.
just turned volume up.
Not all of it.
Alpha level and then up.
Oh.
Maybe, I'm wrong. Oh, no.
Huh?
We're good.
It's the rap music they play before our session comes on YouTube. Maybe not. Are we closer?
Yeah.
Okay. Dave, can you give us the deferrals and withdrawals so we can go ahead and do those instead of,
Yeah, sure.
we'll come back to you folks online.
Just have four, as listed on the agenda this evening, petition 2022-121 by Arcane Investments, petition 2022-224 by SRL Central Ave Properties, 2023-015 by Tribeca Properties, and 2023-1112 by FCA LLC, all requesting a deferral to our next meeting on April 30th. And that's all of them that we have tonight.
All right. Do I hear a motion for the disposition of those four items being deferred?
Wilden, motion to approve.
Lansdale, second.
It's been moved by Wilden and seconded by Lansdale. All those in favor of deferring those four petitions, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those petitions are deferred until April 30th, when we will gather in this room again and have fun. We will go on and begin our, did we get closer to getting audio from everybody? Guys, can you introduce yourselves?
Holly Creamer, planning staff.
Jake Carpenter, CDOT.
Emily King, CDOT.
Ritter, C. Isaiah Washington, CDOT. Travis Miller, CDOT.
Thank you. Always glad to have you all here on the screen this big, just saying. We'll begin our agenda tonight on item number 5, and that is rezoning petition number 2023-174 by the Charlotte Planning, Design, and Development Department. It is a text amendment. And Alan and Laura, are we tag teaming, or is this mostly Alan?
Mostly Alan.
Alan is my favorite person. I just wanted to say that.
See, I told you.
Thank you, Alan.
Thank you.
Pass the knowledge.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a UDO text amendment on the campus zoning districts. It is number 2023-174. Next slide, please. So just to review, our campus place type has 4 zoning districts that are may be applicable for use in the campus place type. I'm not going to read all of these bullet points. They're on the screen, but they are the IC1 institutional campus zoning district, IC2 institutional campus, OFC, which is office flex campus, and RC, which is a research campus zoning district. Next slide. So the concerns that this text amendment will address is the confusion that we've had about the use approach in the use matrix for the campus zoning districts. It doesn't currently work like other zoning districts in the use matrix where you have a list of uses down the left-hand column and a list of zoning districts across the top. And you go down and you go over with your list. And if there's an X, it would be allowed as a use. And if there's a PC, it would be allowed with prescribed conditions and so forth. That's not how the campus zoning districts were initially set up in the use matrix, and it has caused some confusion. And I'll show you a few slides from now what that looks like now and what it would look like after this text amendment. Second concern is that we currently have concentrations of office uses that are not part of a campus, but are mapped as a campus place type. And that suggests to us that we need a new general office zoning district. Next slide. So here are the uses. And again, this is just reiterating what I said. We had some confusion over the approach toward uses in campus. And this text amendment will, among other things, amend the use matrix to show which individual uses are permitted in each of the campus zoning districts. Also, we're adding prescribed conditions for certain uses that will mandate that that use be related to the campus and intended to serve and support the campus. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. So the next slide, please. Thank you. This is what the use matrix currently looks like for campus. And obviously, this is just a little snippet of the use matrix. But you can see on the left column the campus types that we currently have and the campus zoning districts across the top. And so we'll just go down a couple, say the educational campus. You can see by the X's under the IC1 and IC2 that that would be an allowed use in those campus zoning districts. However, if you wanted to find out exactly what would be allowed in an educational campus, you'd have to go a little further into Article 15 and look at the definition for educational campus. And as part of that definition, it would list out the various types of things that might be associated with an educational campus, such as a school or a gymnasium or a stadium or things that would be related. That was our approach, and probably not the best approach. So we are trying to address that through this text amendment. Next. So on the left-hand side, thank you. On the left-hand side is a little section of our use matrix, what it looks like today for our campus zoning districts, IC1, IC2, and OFC across the top. The RC district looks a little bit different. On the right-hand side is what the use matrix would look like for those same uses, same section of the use matrix after the text amendment. So you can see that we've gone and treated it as if, you know, in the way that all other zoning districts function, so that you look up your use in the left-hand column and then you go across and you find your zoning district and you can tell whether it's allowed by the X or whether it's allowed with prescribed conditions by the PC, or if it's grayed out, that use is not allowed in that zoning district. Functions, it would function after the text amendment the same way that all other zoning districts function. So this text amendment will, among other things, clean that up and hopefully eliminate the confusion that we've had over campus. So I mentioned also that some uses will have prescribed conditions. For example, I've just chosen just a couple of random examples. A financial institution, a bank. The prescribed condition would read like this: when located in an IC1 or IC2 zoning district, a financial institution shall be a related component intended to serve and support an educational, government, medical, or CCRC campus. Meaning that if you have a bank branch and it goes into a campus place type, it is intended to serve the users of that campus and not the general public. Vehicle operations facility is a different kind of use that would have a prescribed condition, saying that that use, when located in IC1 or IC2, would be shall be related component intended to serve and support an educational, government, medical, religious, social service, or CCRC. So those are the kinds of prescribed conditions that we have added to some of the uses that would now be allowed in a campus zoning district. Next. So that's the first part of the text amendment. The second part is a new general office district. And we're abbreviating that OG. That kind of follows the convention, naming convention that we've got going for us. I know it causes a lot of amusement, but that's how we, like CG is general commercial and CR is regional commercial. So we put the commercial first and the regional second. So here we do the office first and the G for general second. The concerns that this part of the text amendment will address is, as I said earlier, we have a concentration of office uses that are not specifically related to a campus, but have been mapped as a campus place type. This text amendment will create a new general office zoning district that would accommodate areas of general office development that are supplemental to or supportive of institutional campuses, as well as some standalone office uses that are unrelated to institutions. So next slide, please. This is just an example of that type of office concentration. This one happens to be down at the end of 7th Street where it turns into Randolph Road. There's a cluster of medical offices generally, and some other types of offices, I'm sure, that are not, they are mapped as a campus place type, but they are not part of a hospital campus or an educational campus. They are kind of standing out there by themselves. This would be the type of cluster of office development that we would probably want to use a general office zoning district for, rather than one of our campus zoning districts. And we currently don't have a UDO zoning district that works really well. So that's the reason that we do want to create one through this text amendment. Next slide. So we're proposing for the new general office district that this is just a sample of what some of our standards might be. The uses would be predominantly office with limited retail and restaurant that would not include any residential or industrial uses. The setbacks would be similar to what we have now for the IC1 or the OFC zoning districts. Building height would be limited to 50 feet with an option of going up to 80 feet with a sufficient amount of development bonus points. Build to zone would only apply if there were this district on a main street, which would be highly unlikely. So probably no build to zone. Maximum building length would be 500 feet, which could go as far as 700 feet with additional design elements. And that is covered in the ordinance, how you can get that additional building length. Transparency of 40% on the ground floor, 15% on the upper floors would be similar to the other campus districts. And the parking would be in tier 1, which means that it would have a minimum parking requirement, but no parking maximum. Next slide, please. So staff recommends approval of this petition. Mr. Chair, do you want me to read all this, or do you read this? No, we'll just pause and you can read it.
Then the consistency statements.
Pause here and we'll go Evelyn Wood all over this.
Okay, go to the next slide.
No one knows who Evelyn Wood is.
Speed reading.
Sure do.
Dated every single one of you that nodded when I said Evelyn Wood.
Next slide, Emma, please.
Are you done?
I am done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I'm sorry. Holly said you're muted.
Oh, yes. See, none of what I said was really that important anyway. And we're off to a wonderful start tonight, everyone. Do I hear a motion for the do we have any questions, issues, concerns, comments about this petition? Alan has given us his petition's internals at Planning Commission meeting prior to this. And some of you will have been on various calls where this was discussed. But do we have any questions? If not, do I hear a motion for the disposition of this petition, item number 5 on our agenda?
Motion Wilden to approve, having reviewed the petition. Having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition, I move that we recommend approval of 2023-174.
Second, Seeley.
It's been moved by Wilden and seconded by Seeley. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes 6-0. We're on to item number 6 on our agenda, rezoning petition number 2022-017 by Alton Oliver Self Jr. And Joe, you will take us through this, please.
Thank you. Petition 2022-017 is approximately 1.66 acres located on the south side of Mount Holly Huntersville Road between Bellhaven Boulevard and Abington Holly Drive. So we go back to the previous slide. Thank you. Situated between an activity center on either side of Brookshire Boulevard and a commercial node there at Bellhaven Road and Mount Holly Huntersville Road. Current zoning is N1A. Proposed zoning is B2CD, Lake Wiley Protected Area. The 2040 policy map recommends neighborhood 1 place type. Proposal is for a car wash to include a 4,500 square foot structure and accessory uses permitted in the B2 zoning districts. Commits to a 27-foot Class B buffer along the eastern and southern property boundaries and a 20.25 Class B buffer along the western property boundary. Will provide a dedication of 50 feet of right-of-way from the center line of Mount Holly Huntersville Road. Commits to installing an 8-foot planting strip and 12-foot multi-use path along the Mount Holly Huntersville Road frontage. Access will be from one driveway from Mount Holly Huntersville Road with a minimum 100-foot stem. Place the building to present a front to Mount Holly Huntersville Road. Limit blank wall expanses to 20 feet and designs the building to include vertical bays or articulated architectural features. Since the public hearing, the petitioner removed a conflicting note to confirm that an 8-foot planting strip and 12-foot multi-use path would be installed along the site's public street frontage. Also, the petitioner committed to providing a tree protection fence at least 30 feet from a 65-inch oak tree on the site. And while it is inconsistent, the site is located on a major thoroughfare and is between As I mentioned, a commercial node at Bellhaven Boulevard and community activity center place type on either side of Brookshire Boulevard. There are no outstanding issues and staff recommends approval. I'll be happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much, Joe. Do we have any questions, comments from the commissioners? Hearing none, do we have a motion for the disposition of this petition, item number 6 on our agenda?
Winokur motion to approve. Having reviewed the petition, considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition, I move that we recommend approval of petition number 2022-017 as it appears before us.
Second, Seely.
That motion has been made by Commissioner Winokur, seconded by Commissioner Seeley. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes 6-0. We're on to item number 7 on our agenda, rezoning petition number 2023-046, Childress Klein Properties and Charlotte Mecklenburg Schools. And Holly, you're not here, but are you going to do this one for us?
Yes, I'm online. It's close enough. So,
Okay.
all
We
right,
miss you.
Yeah, I miss y'all too. Sorry I can't be there in person today.
You're not in Disneyland where Will is, are you?
No,
Just-
I'm definitely
okay.
not in Disneyland.
Just
That would be
check it.
nicer.
Go ahead.
This proposal is for the development of secondary school and other uses. So it's located off of Tom Short Road, west of Red Rust Lane, north of Ardrey Kell Road. In the immediate vicinity, we have a lot of single-family neighborhoods with small pockets of commercial and middle-density residential development spread throughout. It's currently zoned MX1 Innovative. That's as a result of the 2004 conditional plan that was approved for the site, and they are requesting to go to MX2 Innovative. Policy map calls for Neighborhood 1 at this site. The proposal itself, and this is what was presented at the time of the public hearing, so I'll go over changes in a moment. The proposal at the public hearing was for the development of a secondary school that 682 multifamily units, 211 attached units, 24 single-family detached units, and it would commit to no less than 125 attached dwelling units and 12 single-family detached units. Again, this is from what was presented at the public hearing. It identifies development areas A through F on the site plan. Area A is for the school and the associated uses. Areas D and E would have multifamily and attached units. Area D would also have a 12-acre natural preserve area that would have a number of trails and other recreational amenities. And it would be privately maintained but publicly accessible. And they would have signage indicating such. It commits to maximum building heights for each of these areas that have been slightly revised just as a result of a typo. Development area B may be developed with 211 attached dwelling units or single-family detached homes. And this area also proposes open space and community amenities with improved active open space areas. Area F would have open space, stormwater structures, and trails. It proposes innovative lot standards related to lot width, front setbacks, rear yard, side yards, building coverage, and building orientation. They also worked really closely with CDOT and NCDOT to identify a number of transportation improvements, and that's for I-485 ramps, Providence Road, Golf Links Drive, Ardrey Kell Road, Valentine Commons Parkway, Tom Short Road. And it's related to new turn lanes, channelizing existing lanes, extending turn lanes, installing APS push buttons, and upgrading pedestrian infrastructure. Access is off of Tom Short Road and the extension of Golf Links Drive. At the time of public hearing, they were proposing an additional secondary access off of Tom Short Road, subject to further review. They got a subdivision street exception, that was approved, and it allows the conversion of the extension of Camp Verde Lane from a public street to a 12-foot multi-use path, so providing more of a pedestrian access to the school site rather than another vehicular entrance. Commits to work with CDOT and the community to fund up to 6 speed humps or other traffic calming measures throughout the area. It also proposes a number of architectural design details related to building materials, placement, facade modulations, no more than a maximum of 6 units per building in the attached dwelling units, raised entrances, pitched roofs, usable porches and stoops, minimize design for garage doors, and a number of other items. 8-foot planting strip and 12-foot multi-use path along Tom Short Road. Golf Links Drive would be improved with either an 8-foot planting strip and 12-foot shared use path, or with an 8-foot planting strip, 8-foot sidewalk, and 2 5-foot bike lanes. There's also a 200-foot Class C buffer that's along the northern boundary. They also worked with the stormwater team to provide additional conditional notes that go a little bit above and beyond what we would typically see in the site plan. A minimum of 25% of the site will be provided as passive open space, and 17% of the site would be improved active open space. There'd also be a playground. They connected with Parks and Rec to commit to convey a 100-foot permanent greenway easement within that 200-foot post-construction buffer for Flat Branch. So since the public hearing, they have made a couple of modifications to address our outstanding issues. They increased the minimum number of single-family detached units from 12 to 14, so that matches what's shown on the site plan. They modified the conditional notes related to the phasing of when different residential product types are built before the 400th multifamily unit CO. They also modified the maximum building heights. So Area D would have a maximum height of 65 feet and Area B would have 50 feet. What was in there before was just a typo, so they just switched it. And then they have also reached out with as a result of conversations with CMS regarding stacking for school drop-off and pickup, they added a note for transportation provisions that the extension of Camp Verde Lane and Golf Links Drive to Flat Branch Creek may be constructed as a network required private street and will be constructed to meet local residential street standards. Public access easement will be recorded over the street. And they removed that proposed secondary access off Tom Short Road, and they addressed all outstanding transportation issues. We do recommend approval. There's, I think, one remaining outstanding issue listed in the staff analysis, but we expect to have that resolved this week with the revised site plan. So the outstanding issue in the staff analysis is related to the phasing and the different residential product types. So they are going to submit an edit to the site plan that would commit to 90 attached units and 9 single-family detached units being constructed before the 400th multifamily certificate of occupancy. And that addresses our concern with that note as it relates to phasing. They'll also clarify that there will be a minimum of 125 attached units. I think that was deleted from the plan in error, but that's still the intention. And they'll also add a note that existing structures may or may not be removed. So as I said, we'll have that outstanding issue resolved this week. And so in that case, we will be in a place to recommend approval of this petition. We believe that the proposal provides a mixture of housing types that diversifies the products offered in this area, which is pretty limited to single-family detached homes. It would increase the density of housing while still maintaining a maximum of density that's less than 9 units per acre. We also think that the design of the site emphasizes contextual sensitivity by orienting the densest residential forms to the most central portions of the site, furthest away from the existing single-family neighborhoods. They also provide that 200-foot buffer along the northern boundary and the single-family homes along the southern boundary, further emphasizing that contextual sensitivity. So although on a whole, it's more consistent with the N2 place type, and that's what the policy map would be changed to if approved, we think that it still preserves a number of single-family characteristics and green area buffers along the edges of the site. It also helped facilitate several community benefits, the most notable of which being the construction of that new middle school in Development Area A. That'll help relieve J.M. Robinson Middle School, which is currently at capacity. The commitments to sizable reservations of active and passive open space and the recreation opportunities would help further some of the goals of the comprehensive plan. And transportation improvements are also a vital part of this request, given the scale of the development. And I'll take any questions that you have.
Thank you very much, Holly. Do we have any questions, comments from the commission? Commissioner Lansdale.
Yeah, a couple things before I start with my question. Appreciate the thoughtfulness of the drop-off designs by the conversations with CMS, the path access to the facility as well, the school, potential school, speed humps, and the changes for pedestrian connections and the changes on Tom Short entrance and exit there. But this is really for Jake and for staff, and I'll try to pose it in a way that it is kind at first, but what the heck is a choker road? Because I am looking at the Charlotte Streets Manual for a choker road, and I can't find a reference for a choker road being an approved design feature for transportation, not until 2007 and when we created the Charlotte Urban Streets Design Guidelines. So how in the world is CDOT going to take on a choker road for this facility? Jake, maybe.
Hi, Natalie King. So we're currently working and analyzing the possibility of the choker. And so it's not a road, it's just a traffic calming device. And what it is, there's some in the adjacent neighborhood that I can probably screenshot and send later. But it's where the road narrows, so only one car can get by at a time, making it so it's reducing speed. So you have stop signs and then you proceed in an orderly fashion. And that would just be for the southern part of the neighborhood. So we're currently analyzing that and determining the amount of choker roads that we want into the facility and kind of going through what you're saying, the process to make sure that it's appropriate for the site.
Yeah, thank you, Natalie. I appreciate that. Tell me if you can bring up a slide, which one is Turning Hawk Road?
So yeah, if you could go to the main map.
I didn't see any of the plans identify which one is which.
So Turning Hawk Road, if you look, do you see the development where it has Mesa Verde Road? Kind of on the bottom left.
Yes, development area A, B, and C.
Yes, so it's the road that leads into development area B off of Mesa Verde.
Thank you very much for that clarification. Yeah, I'm going to be I'm not going to be able to fully get behind this project or this rezoning until we get clarification on that particular piece. I think there are more problems that occur with this than solutions. We've had the fire department here. We've had lots of other folks talking about active mobility and choker roads. And I'm a bit concerned that CDOT is embracing this type of facility design when it's not indicated in the Charlotte Streets guideline at all. And so thank you for answering my questions.
Yeah, and I'll chime in, Jake, you jump in if you need to, but from what I understand, it's a road design that was incorporated in the original project to the south, and the neighbors requested that of the petitioner directly as a community concern and wanted that same type of road network or road connection there with where they already exist. So it was something that was a direct request of the community that the petitioner is trying to accommodate. I haven't seen them as a standard for other rezonings that CDOT has done with some of those type of traffic calming methods, but this was one that came as a direct request because it is an existing condition in some of those communities to the south.
Thank you for the clarification, Dave.
Thanks, Dave. Commissioner Wilden?
Yeah, so I'm the CMS appointed representative on zoning committee. And I can say for absolute certainty that this is a huge priority for the school system, especially with the reliever school. And so I just want to say nothing is perfect. I don't think I've ever seen a perfect rezoning. Unless I become a petitioner and then I'll make a perfect one, but that's not happening anytime soon. But yeah, I just know that this is a huge priority for CMS.
Thank you, Commissioner Wilden. And by the way, I am perfect. Anyone else got a comment? Do a motion for the disposition of item number 7 on our agenda.
Winokur, having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff To approve this petition, I move we recommend approval of petition number 2023-046 as it appears before us.
Second, Seely.
It's been moved by Winokur and seconded by Seeley. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes 6-0. We're on to item number 8 on our agenda, rezoning petition number 2023-062 by White Point Partners. And Holly, you get to do this again.
I do. Okay, so this site is just over 2.5 acres on the south side of Commonwealth Avenue, west of Pecan Avenue, along the east side of the plaza in the core of the Plaza Midwood neighborhood. The southern boundary of this site would abut the Independence Boulevard and the future right-of-way for the Silver Line. It's currently zoned neighborhood center. That's as a result of the pedestrian overlay that was over much of the area that translated several general legacy districts to neighborhood center. And the request is to go to Community Activity Center 2 conditional. And that request is consistent with our policy map's recommendation for Community Activity Center in this area. The proposal is to allow for all uses in the CAC2 district, and it specifies 4 development areas. Existing buildings may remain, but also redevelopment would be allowed in accordance with the UDO. New buildings in development areas A and B must incorporate ground floor activation, and the percentage as presented at the public hearing was 35% of the ground floor area would be reserved for commercial non-residential uses. The petitioner worked with the community to detail notes about redevelopment occurring in areas A and B and commitments to small commercial spaces. The plan specifies maximum building height of 126, and that matches what was recently approved on the east side of the plaza as petition 2022-099. Any height achieved above 80 feet would have to utilize the UDO's bonus menu provisions, and that matches what we see with the CAC1 zoning district. At the time of the public hearing, they proposed abandonment of the existing alleyway, and they committed to reserving right-of-way for future acquisition by CATS for the Silver Line along the southern boundary. There were several changes since the public hearing. They worked with the community in particular to work out some notes regarding contributions to the Plaza Midwood Merchants Association. They also increased the commitment for the non-residential uses from 35% to 40% of the ground floor area. They added a conditional note that when construction is occurring on the site within any of the development areas, parking to support that construction could occur. They removed the call out for the alleyway abandonment. If they do end up needing alleyway abandonment, they'll have to work through that formal process later. They added a conditional note stating that at the time of redevelopment of development area A, the petitioner will work with City and Plaza Midwood Merchants Association to replace the existing streetscape treatment along Commonwealth Avenue to create a streetscape treatment that prioritizes pedestrians and outdoor seating. They also added a conditional note stating that at the time of redevelopment, if the city adopts plans for a shared use path along the site's frontage or along the Silver Line corridor, then the petitioner will incorporate that shared use path into their plans. There are a couple of items that the petitioner is continuing to work through with CATS, following some very recent edit requests that we received from them today regarding the Silver Line and the reservation area for that infrastructure. So we're still having those conversations, but I think we can come to a resolution soon. And we anticipate another edit to this plan this week. And it'll also add a note that indicates that the required streetscape improvements along the plaza that were committed to with the 2022-099 petition would also be triggered in this site with the redevelopment of development area D. And that note's really important for the community to work into the plan. So we were happy to see that resolved. We recommend approval of this petition upon the resolution of those transportation issues with CATS. The current adopted Silver Line will run along the backside of this property, and a light rail station is proposed just a short walk away along the other side of Con Avenue. The adjacency to that forthcoming transit infrastructure gives credence to intensification on parcels such as these, especially when they don't abut single-family homes or other sensitive land uses. This is in a transitional space between the neighborhood's most intense scale of development to the west and the neighborhood center and neighborhood one development that we see to the east. And the zoning being requested at the scale that is reflective of the gradual shift in land uses that you see across the area. This district is being requested as opposed to CAC 1 to provide more flexibility in the vehicle parking requirements. That's related to the parking requirements tier structure in the UDO. So the request is also representing a lessening reliance on personal vehicle usage in that area, which is relevant given the existing and planned public transit options that we'll have. And it will also bring this site into alignment with the policy map designation for community activity center, but in a way that also utilizes bonus menu provisions that we see for the CAC 1 district, the lesser intense of the CAC districts. And I'll take any questions.
Thank you very much, Holly. Do we have any questions, comments? Commissioner Winokur?
Please. I live about 2 blocks south as the crow flies. This is in the Chantilly neighborhood, or at least that's what it was known before Mayor Baxter and his cronies, whose names appear on a number of monuments and streets around town, decided to cut off the top half of our neighborhood, and now it's known as the Plaza Midwood area. I've lived there for about 10 years, so I'm a newbie to the area, but just in a very short period of time, there's been incredible change. And with the approval of the rezoning down at the corner of the plaza and Commonwealth, which will result in, some 10-odd story building, this rezoning, though it currently it'll continue to support adaptive reuse. The reality is that eventually it will look like something, it'll be 10-story buildings. And so the question then becomes, what will these places be? Will they be the place where the Penguin is, where you can go get, well, no, you can't. It's not there anymore. Will the Diamond stay there? I really hope so. I hope they pull a Thirsty Beaver and they stay there forever, but they may not. The Healthy Home Market, I was so sad when they left. But so the question then becomes, what is in the public's space to do to help preserve Plaza Midwood, this area we call Plaza Midwood, other areas around town that are, make it a nice, walkable, enjoyable experience. There's a lot of pedestrians. And right now, a ton of space is eaten up by on-street parking. And so the commissioners have seen an email from Alan Nelson. I've been meeting with local leaders and also on behalf of my own neighborhood, Chantilly. But that one line that's mentioned in there about working with the city for a revised streetscape. I think that at the time this was innovative. The idea was back in parking to try to slow down traffic, but there are better ways to slow down traffic. And that includes reclaiming space for pedestrian use and, have it be a lovely boulevard that will allow for dining third place space, raised crosswalks at the intersection of Thomas Street. And who knows, someday that may be, Thomas Street might become some kind of a pedestrian only zone, which I think would be a lovely way to use it. So anyway, I just wanted to throw this out to you guys because this has been the subject of our conversations. The question will be, what will our public do? What will CDOT do when we're in the space for this development? And it's tough to predict what they're going to do, but I hope that we use this as an opportunity to set an example throughout the city of how we can make lovely, beautiful spaces, much like what Harvey Gantt did, revolutionary in the mid 80s when I was a kid uptown. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Winokur. Do we have any other comments, questions? Holly, I have one. They're requesting CAC 2, and the rest of the area around this is all NC. And I know that there's been some discussion about whether CAC should get in there. By giving this little chunk CAC 2, is that like a gateway drug to Community Activity Center for the rest of Plaza Midwood and Central Avenue?
Well, the policy
Zoning can be
the policy map already designates all this area as community activity center. So the alignment rezoning process is going to take a look at this area anyway. It was all translated to NC because so much of the area was districts like B1 or
Yeah.
O1. And those general legacy districts translated to neighborhood center. And so no, I don't think it automatically spurs application of CAC that wasn't already going to be spurred because the policy map designation of CAC for this entire area really.
Okay, all right. That was just a disconnect for me because I did look at the policy map and you're right, it was the color blue that CAC. But then when I looked at what was on the ground, there was a large amount of NC there. And I guess I didn't get the drill of how this would go forward, but the alignment rezoning will magically make that all happen and it'll be good. Okay, all right. Anybody else got any questions, comments? Do I hear a motion on the disposition of item number 8 on our agenda?
Winokur moved to approve. Having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition, we recommend approval of petition number 2023-062 as it appears before us.
Second, Wilden.
It's been moved by Winokur, seconded by Wilden. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes 6-0. We're on to item number 9 on our agenda, rezoning petition number 2023-091 by Mecklenburg County. And Holly, it seems like it's your turn to bat yet again.
Yes. All right. So this one's going to be a little bit familiar. You've seen it in zoning committee before. So last time it was presented, we ended up deferring action on the item because we needed some clarity on a couple of things. So the petition is 3 1/4 acres on the northwest side of North College Street and both the east and west sides of East 7th Street, located in the core of Uptown across an assemblage of parcels owned by the county. It was most recently rezoned as petition 2021-163 to UMUD optional. And the proposal is for a site plan amendment to that UMUD conditional plan that was approved. There was also an administrative amendment to the 2021-163 plans back in September of this past year. And that allowed for what was previously labeled as pedestrian connectivity and potential open space zone to be modified to shared loading and pedestrian connectivity area generally. The administrative amendment documents included vehicle circulation and turning movement exhibits, and those carried over in this current site plan amendment as well. The policy map calls for a regional activity center for this area, which is consistent with the request. The plan itself is for a site plan amendment to provide an additional full movement access point to building envelope B. The only change to the previously approved optional provisions is an added commitment to an 8-foot minimum pedestrian clear zone. Since the public hearing and since the last time that you all reviewed this petition, the petitioner team has met with several of you zoning committee members to clarify how the plan was revised during the administrative amendment process and what can be done to provide more robust pedestrian safety infrastructure. So as a result of those conversations, the petitioner proposed various solutions to CDOT, and they were pretty limited in what they could do based on what is allowed in the right-of-way. But the petitioner settled on being able to provide retractable bollards at the North College Street and the East 6th Street entrances, and that's in addition to maintaining bollards and planters along East 7th Street. Staff recommends approval of the petition upon resolution. Staff recommends approval of the petition. We believe that the modifications presented in this petition to the previously approved conditional plan are minor and would not significantly change the nature of development that was approved in petition 2021-163 and the following administrative amendment. And I'll take questions.
Thank you very much, Holly. Commissioners, I'll just refocus you on the fact that this is a site plan amendment and what we're dealing with is the entrance in envelope B. That being said, Commissioner Winokur and I both had multiple conversations, maybe it's 3 conversations with the folks at Mecklenburg County and et cetera, the development team. And we did get some of what we wanted with additional bollards being put to kind of basically stop traffic, but in a place that they could actually do it. I guess they couldn't really do it in the road according to CDOT. So I think that we feel like that was at least a step forward.
Very much so. They were very receptive to the idea of wanting to try to make that, they want to make that a safe space for pedestrians. They want to keep trucks from going through. And so they were very receptive to at least explore the idea of bollards. And I feel like if it wasn't for Commissioner Welton's support on that, then that might have been overlooked. So we really appreciate getting a heads up on that issue. And I think that they did a great job doing a nice street safe redesign. I mean, it should be safer than, for instance, when I drive by the Discovery Place parking lot on the cycle track. So it will be much better. Another place I want to see some more bollards. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right. Thank you very much. Do we have any questions, comments? Commissioner Lansdale, you look like you might. You're good? Okay. Anybody else got any comments, questions, issues? If not, do I hear a motion for the disposition of whichever item this is on our agenda? I'm flipping back to my screen now. This is item number 9.
Winokur moved to approve. Having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition, I move that we recommend approval of petition number 2023-091 as it appears before us. Thank you.
Lansdale, second.
It's been moved by Winokur and seconded by Lansdale. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? This motion passes 6-0. We're on to item number 10 in the double digits. Rezoning petition number 2023-107 by Penmith Holdings LLC. And Michael, we haven't heard from you tonight, and we want to hear your lovely voice. Give it to us.
Certainly. So this is approximately 12.3 acres located along the north side of Rocky River Road and the east side of John Russell Road. The current zoning is NS, Neighborhood Services. The proposed zoning is into a CD. The adopted area plan calls for manufacturing and logistics. In this proposal, it would allow up to 115 multifamily attached residential units, allows up to 9,000 square feet of non-residential uses. They are dedicating land for the right-of-way to NCDOT, 27 feet from the center line of John Russell Road and 38 from the center line of Rocky River Road. They are providing accessible sidewalk ramps, crosswalks, and pedestrian signalization at intersection of Rocky River Road and John Russell Road. They're providing a 12-foot multi-use path and a minimum 8-foot landscape strip along Rocky River Road and John Russell Road. They are providing 8-foot sidewalk and a minimum 8-foot landscape strip along proposed Public Road 1 and the Public Road 2. They're providing some supplemental plantings around the potential SCM at Rocky River Road and John Russell Road. They do provide architectural details, including building materials, and they are providing 2 amenity areas, one at 5,100 square feet and the second one at 1,800 square feet. So the petition is inconsistent with the policy map recommendation for manufacturing and logistics place type. Though this petition is inconsistent with the policy map, the proposed uses are in line with the context of the surrounding residential uses. There are no outstanding issues, and staff does recommend approval.
Thank you, Michael. Do we have any questions, comments from the commission? Commissioner Lansdale.
Yeah, my concerns when we first reviewed this petition and that the proximity of the housing next to the intersection was going to be a challenge for me, but I appreciate working with NCDOT to provide right of way for roadway expansion. And the reason why this is important to me, I just happened to have ridden my bike on these roads and made this turn this past weekend. But I appreciate that that effort to secure that land for the eventual
roadway widening of this intersection. Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions, comments? Michael, I have one. Are there any prohibited uses in this non-commercial 9,000 square feet, or is that anything that's allowed in N2?
It's allowed.
Okay, is everybody happy with that from a staff perspective?
Yeah, I mean, there's a pretty decent limitation on the types of uses that can go in that type of building for neighborhood two. They're really neighborhood serving, so it'd be, let me try to see if I can pull it up real quick just to.
If Commissioner Russell were here, he'd say, are there any abattoirs?
No, it's all neighborhood-based types of uses that would be, serving for barber shops and salons, things like that.
Okay.
Trying to see if there's an actual description of neighborhood uses.
I'm sure there's
I believe-
probably a use table. I just, oddly enough, haven't committed that to memory.
Yeah, it's a select number and it doesn't include things that give us any concern, so.
Okay, all right. As long as staff is cool, Commissioner Sealy.
No, I was honestly curious. It surprised me a little bit that Baucom's was listed in the place type map as ML, just as manufacturing and logistics in general. Is that generally what we would have like a very large greenhouse categorized under?
Well, we can try to track down how that got categorized as that, because the zoning classification also doesn't match up with manufacturing. There's the entitlements on that site were for a mixed-use retail shopping center, 100,000 square feet of retail. So the place type doesn't even match the entitlement. So I think the northern piece of Baucom's that's much larger, that's probably better classified as potentially M&L, but it's maybe, there's not a good catch-all place type for it. Maybe commercial would be the other one. But this corner piece was a little bit off from all fronts. So.
You good? All righty. Any more questions, comments? See, we could have been on spring break with Will, but we're not. Do I hear a motion for the disposition of item number 10 on our agenda?
Having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition, I move that we recommend approval of petition number 2023-107 as it appears before us in the adoption of the consistency statement. And I am Commissioner Sealy, and I should have said that first.
Is there a second? That motion has been made by Commissioner Sealy and seconded by Commissioner Wilden. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? It's 6-0 on that one. We're up to item number 11 on our agenda, rezoning petition number 2023-113 by Sri Sri LLC. And Joe, it's your turn to party.
It looks like a gnome. Sorry.
No, this is the one that we thought was like, it was a hatchet, right?
Oh.
Yeah, this is hatchet shape. Yeah. Either that or it's a dunce cap. One or the other.
I think it's a gnome. So.
Whatever.
All right, go ahead.
Lots of options to choose from. Petition 2023-113 is approximately 1.14 acres located on the west side of Southern Pine Boulevard, just south of Arrowwood Road, near I-77. Current zoning is ML1. Proposed zoning is CGCD. 2040 policy map recommends campus place type. And this is probably a good time to, acknowledge the text amendment that is being recommended right now, because this is a prime example of why that would be beneficial.
Oh, okay. Would this be an OG then? No, this wouldn't be.
It could be an OG.
This could be an OG?
OG?
I know the OG is named after Alan, but we just didn't need to embarrass him while he was here. Go on, Joe. Sorry.
So there's no site plan associated with this petition. It would simply there are development standards that would limit the uses to office and accessory uses developed under the standards of the CG district. The CG district itself would be inconsistent with the campus place type. However, the use limited to office is consistent. Staff recommends approval, and I will take any questions.
Thank you, Joe. Anyone got any questions, comments, suggestions on this particular item? If none, do I hear a motion for this disposition of item number 11 on our agenda?
Ms. Lansdale, having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff, to approve this petition, I move that we recommend the approval of petition number 2023113 as it appears before us, and the adoption of the consistency statement as it appears before us.
Second, Neely.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Lansdale and seconded by Commissioner Neely. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes 6-0. We're on to item number 12 on our agenda, rezoning petition number 2023-132 by Mark Talbot and Freedom Communities. And Claire, is Dave again?
Yep. We'll go with
Claire, you
We'll
should
just go with
really
Clay.
shave that
Yeah.
hairy face. Anyway, thanks, Dave.
Thank you. So 2023-132, it's 1.67 acres on Tuckasegee and Rogers Street. It is currently zoned URC, urban residential commercial conditional, and they are proposing to go to neighborhood center conditional. You can see on the place type map, we do have some neighborhood center just adjacent, so that pink color would carry over to this parcel as well, should this be approved. The proposal is just a set of additional conditions that I explained a little bit at the hearing. This started out as a conventional petition. They met with neighbors for their required community meeting and learned of some concerns and had lots of conversations early on through the process over January and February. Came up with some things that would help to mitigate the neighbor concerns through use restrictions, building height restrictions, some clarifications on buffering and landscaping. And really came to a place where everybody felt comfortable with it and even got a letter of support or email of support from the folks they were working with the night of the public hearing. So that was a really good example of folks working together and coming to some good common ground resolutions on some of these projects. So again, this one is really just to restrict uses, would allow things like an art gallery, an office, childcare center, community center, cultural facility, a real estate sales office, childcare center, which could be accessory to employment. Building height would be limited at 40 feet and 2 stories. They would comply with all the post-construction requirements of the UDO. Other uses would be allowed in the NC zoning districts, but it would really just allow those that are listed out in the list up at the front end. Also would propose a buffer should any of those structures or buildings be demolished. A 25-foot Class B landscape yard would be provided, which is a little bit larger than the standard requirement for a buffer. So added that clarification as well to address, again, some of those community concerns. So at this point, staff does recommend approval of the petition. It is inconsistent with the policy map recommendation, but that neighborhood center coming over into this parcel as well, we didn't feel we had any significant concerns with, particularly with the conditions that were provided. So with that, we'll take any questions.
It's not a fire hazard. Thank you, Dave.
Yep.
Do we have any questions from Commissioner Lansdale?
No questions on this one, just a couple of comments. And I want to remind this zoning committee that Tuckasegee and East Boulevard, now over a decade ago, experienced what we then called a road dive, but a lane reconfiguration at about the same time with the same investment dollars. I know it's a tough for the neighborhood and people who live along Tuckasegee to see that transition happen over the past decade. But I believe strongly that the transportation choices that we made as a community are making these types of investments in redevelopment much smoother, making the neighborhood a better neighborhood and transitioning to a neighborhood that is far more sustainable into the future and allowing opportunities for all and all types of travel choices and all types of economic and professional and personal development in this corridor that we haven't seen in many, many decades. And I just want to commend the commitment to the people who we stand on the shoulders of to make these hard, challenging investments and transportation choices. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lansdale. Anyone else got any comments, questions? If not, do I hear a motion for the disposition of item number 12 on our agenda?
Since I said.
sorry, this is Lansdale. Since I made that appeal and a historical reference, this is Lansdale to approve. Having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition, and move that we recommend approval of petition number 2023132 as it appears before us, and the adoption of the consistency statement as it appears before us.
It's been moved by Lansdale and properly seconded by Neely. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. And those opposed? That passes 6-0. We're on to item number 13 on our agenda. And let me just say, we're whipping along here very nicely, everyone. Rezoning petition number 2023-150 by Karen Wingate. And Michael, bring the news.
Thanks. So this is approximately 0.51 acres located on the east side of North Tryon Street, south of East Arrowhead Drive and west of North Hill Circle. The current zoning is ML2, Manufacturing and Logistics 2. The proposed zoning is for IMU. The policy map does call for the manufacturing and logistics place type. This is conventional, so there's no site plan. And this is inconsistent with the 2040 policy map. But we believe the petition is supported by preferred adjacencies to the Community Activity Center and manufacturing and logistics place type. There are no outstanding issues and staff does recommend support.
All right, thank you. Do we have any questions, comments on rezoning petition number or item number 13 on our agenda? If not, do I hear a motion for the disposition of item number 13?
Wilden, motion to approve. Having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition, I move that we recommend approval of 2023-150 as it appears before us.
Neely, second.
It's been moved by Wilden and seconded by Neely. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Yes.
We have one. That petition passes 5-1.
In my opposition statement, I'm not sure that on this rezoning, it matches the land use, appropriate land use change from the reclassification of uses. We'll leave it at that.
You good
If
with
that's
that, Mike?
okay. We just disagree with the transition.
Okay. Item number 14 on our agenda. Rezoning petition number 2023-154 by UNC Capital LLC. Joe, will you take us through this one, please?
Will do. Petition 2023-154 is approximately 7.17 acres located on the south side of York Road and west side of Youngblood Road. Current zoning is N1A. Proposed zoning is N2B CD. The 2040 policy map recommends neighborhood 1 place type. Proposal is for an age-restricted multifamily stack development with up to 160 residential units. Limits the number of principal buildings to 2. Provides a 10-foot Class C landscape yard with 6-foot opaque fence where adjacent to N1 zoning and place type. We'll discuss that again on the changes slide next. Reserves 10% of the site as open space. Commits to the following transportation improvements: access from both York Road and Youngblood Road, right turn lane at York Road access with 150 feet of storage and 100-foot taper, 8-foot planting strip and 12-foot shared use path along the site's York Road frontage, and an 8-foot planting strip and 8-foot sidewalk along the site's Youngblood Road frontage. Since the public hearing, the petitioner committed to widening the Class B buffer, make that Class C buffer along the southern property boundary. The ordinance only calls for a 10-foot Class C buffer with a fence. Petitioner is providing 20 feet for the majority of that boundary.
Joe, is south on the south on the plan south?
south.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Petitioner also addressed several outstanding transportation issues. There remain 3 outstanding issues. Request for a tree survey. Also, a request that all tree save areas are contiguous. And also transportation, adding a conditional note that the multi-use path will be outside of the right of way in a public access easement and will be maintained by the property owner.
Joe, which, I didn't quite catch, where will that path be?
The multi-use path along York Road.
York Road? Okay.
Right. CDOT is asking for confirmation that that will be outside of the right of way.
Because there's no other actual path on anything out there.
No.
Yeah, I should have waited, but thank you. Just thinking out loud.
So staff recommends approval after resolution of those outstanding issues related to the environment and transportation. It is inconsistent with the recommendation for neighborhood 1 place type. However, staff feels that adding that age-restricted development would provide additional housing opportunity for growing segment of our community. There's also neighborhood center just across Youngblood Road. So it would not be completely isolated into development. And I will take any questions.
Thank you very much, Joe. I think I've got Winokur and then Lansdale.
Could we go back to the site plan, pretty please? The majority of the site is occupied by completely unusable, non-permeable, non-productive parking spaces. Was that as a result of encouragement by staff, or was that the petitioner?
The petitioner would have to address the number of spaces provided. Some will be ordinance required.
Sure, but I mean, not that much though, right? That's way more than what would be required by staff.
Actually,
160
on
units.
site plan.
Can we ask CDOT if this is this the number of these spots? Has this been required by staff at all?
Parking isn't a CDOT requirement. That would be a different.
Thank you. I apologize. Thank you for letting me know.
Yeah, there's a certain amount they have to meet as a minimum for staff. And then if they go beyond that, that's at their discretion if they want to overpark. But I'm not sure what the ratio is, parking spaces per dwelling unit, but the petitioner may be able to provide some insight as to what the need is for that amount, or if how much they're exceeding the ordinance by.
Do we have the petitioner in the room?
Winokur moved to suspend to allow petitioner to respond to the overwhelming parking on this tiny parcel.
Second, Weldon.
It's been moved by Winokur and seconded by Weldon. We will suspend the session, and the petitioner's representative is here, Mr. McVeigh.
Keith McVeigh with Moore Van Allen, assisting the petitioner. Bridget Grant actually presented this at the public hearing, but she is on spring break.
Is she in Disney World with Will?
No, she's not.
Just checking.
But back to the parking question, because of the type of units these are, even though they are age restricted, they are planned to be more active adults over the age of 55. So the petitioner did feel having at least one space per bedroom would be more appropriate, and that's how the parking ratio is shown on the plan. And that does rely on a text amendment to the N2B zoning district to allow that to exceed the maximum for age restricted to go up to the 1 per bedroom. So that's why there's that many spaces.
Thank you.
Okay, we're good. All right, our session is unsuspended. Do we have any other questions, comments from the commission? Commissioner Lansdale.
Yeah, we're not going to let you off the hook that easy on the parking piece. So I'm going to take it from a different tack. And along York Road, If you could bring back up the site plan, Joe, just as that one with the detail there. On York Road, do we have, and it's hard for me to read, and I'm sorry I don't know this, but do we have the lane width for the outside lane closest to the southern boundary for York Road? Is that indicated on there? I'm sorry, it's not in my notes, but.
It's full lane there.
Isaiah, I'm not seeing lane widths on the site plan. I don't know if you could do that quick math or if you know that.
And the reason why while you're looking at that, the reason why I'm asking is because I want to understand how wide the turn lane is going to be and the opportunity for potential within the right of way accommodations for roadway improvements. I just want to understand that spacing piece, especially since the mixed use path is going to be privately maintained.
Typically, when we have people install lanes, it's around 11 feet. Sometimes we just have to navigate the geometry of the existing conditions. So maybe a little maybe some wiggle room one way or the other. And we have them do turning movements as well to make sure that everything can be accommodated for it. So it's the right turn lane that they have into their site as well.
Yeah, thanks. So what I'm asking for, because this is approaching a pretty critical intersection and you know, that space, there may never be an opportunity to have within the right of way, any kind of active mobility accommodations. So we appreciate that. And that's the only issue that I have for this particular parcel is that proximity between those two intersections. We're trying to squeeze a lot in between those two roads, but I do say that the usage here is hard to overcome and the defense for some transportation issues, but I appreciate the petitioner. Thank you.
Commissioner Lansdale, if you blow up the site plan, it does appear as though it's got the demarcations on there for the different widths. I'm seeing 33, I guess, is the width of the actual road, and maybe 52 is the right of way there, that sort of thing.
Yeah, thanks. Usually they have the separation between the two travel lanes to give the widths. So that was the only clarification I was looking for.
And I will just add that I was on a call with the petitioner and with the neighborhood Steel Creek Residents Association on this. They are excited to see some active senior living accommodations in their area. And as excited as you can get about something like this, I was getting that off. And I mean that in a good way. I really do. It's something that they feel that there's a need for, and it allows people to age, quote unquote, in the same community where they are. So that's all I will add to that. Any other comments?
Yeah, just one from staff, just to add in the parking up real quick. It looks like they've got 162 spaces. Multifamily stacked dwellings can be parked at 1.5 per dwelling unit, which comes out to about 160, I think, or wait, let me see. No, 160 times 240. So they're under so for senior living, it's 0.25 per dwelling unit. And they've parked it at 162. If it was parked at a regular multifamily, there'd be like 240 required spaces. So they're kind of in between a traditional multifamily and what would be required as a minimum for senior living. So it's not completely out of the realm of what the ordinance requires.
Thank you for the comment.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Commissioner Lansdale, did you have something else?
If I may.
Yes, Commissioner Winter.
You know, it really highlights the problem that we're going to have going forward with parking requirements. Minimum parking requirements should be abolished. We should join the rest of the nation of major municipalities, including municipalities here in North Carolina, and abolish mandatory minimum parking requirements. And while the developer may choose to implement this many parking spaces to accommodate this unit, it's a gross misuse of land. It is not remotely what what we want under the UDO. It's not what the environmental goals are, and they're real. This is going to increase heat signature, and I mean, it's a number of problems. And so it's a real, this is the poster child of, I guess, unintended awful consequences of this kind of development. Thank you.
Do I hear a motion for the disposition of item number 14 on our agenda?
Neely, motion to approve. Having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition, I move that we recommend approval of petition number 2023-154 as it appears before us.
Second, Seeley.
And as usual, boom, shakalaka. We have the Neely to Seeley combo on a motion and a second. Thank you very much. We will also have the Ohio players coming in later to sing fire. It has been moved and seconded. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed?
Nay.
Got one nay?
2 nays.
2 nays? I only have, how many ayes did I have? I have 2 ayes, 3 ayes, 4 ayes. We have 4 ayes. Okay, just checking. All right, that motion passes with, there were very quiet ayes, I guess is what it was.
I was like looking around like, hold on.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It was hard, but it's trying to find my parents a place to live.
Yeah, no, it's completely understandable. My mom
yeah.
lives in an age-restricted spot similar to that.
Yeah.
All
right.
And maybe council will have some other opinions as well when they review our vote tonight and maybe have some comments as well.
They totally look at it.
Council always sees it the way that we do. Just go with that. Item number 15 on our agenda as we forge forward.
We need
Here, did you have an opposition opinion?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
The dissent.
We have opposition opinion. And Joe, yeah, I guess.
Justice Weldon, do you want to do the dissent? No? Okay.
Maybe a lawyer.
The parking consumes so much of the site as it results in an environmental problem, for lack of,
Runoff.
yeah, non-permeable, non-useful space. Ugh.
We can also pull from some of the commentary we had at the end.
Thank you. I very much appreciate it.
If that's all right with you. All right. Does that work for you, Joe? We'll just pull from that conversation right at the end.
Thank goodness this is all recorded. It makes it all better.
Seriously.
Item number 15 on our agenda, rezoning petition number 2023-155 by CH Land Company. Max, you've been awfully quiet tonight, but now it's your time to shine.
I forgot I was on this agenda. Petition 2023-155 is located at the northeast intersection of Beatties Ford Road and Trinity Road, south of Lakeview Road. The site is approximately 6.15 acres in size. It's currently the site of 3 single-family dwellings. Current zoning is N1A, Neighborhood 1, and CG, General Commercial. Proposed zoning is into BCD, Neighborhood 2, a conditional district. The 2040 policy map recommends the commercial and Neighborhood 1 place types for the site. The N2B district is inconsistent with the Neighborhood 1 and commercial place types. Approval of this petition would revise the 2040 policy map to the Neighborhood 2 place type. The proposal calls for up to 147 duplex, triplex, quadruplex, and multifamily dwelling units, including up to 5 live-work units. Following transportation improvements are proposed. Vehicular access to the site is proposed from Beatties Ford Road and Trinity Road via a new public street. Plan proposes new public streets throughout the site. A southbound left turn lane with 150 feet of storage is proposed for access off of Beatties Ford Road. Northbound right turn lane with 100 feet of storage is proposed for access off Beatties Ford Road. Improvements are proposed to the existing bus stop on Trinity Road. Following architectural requirements are proposed. All buildings will be limited to no more than 5 dwelling units per building. Primary exterior building materials may consist of brick, masonry, stone, or synthetic equivalents, stucco, cementitious board, or wood siding. Vinyl, ephes, masonite may not be used as primary building material. It may be utilized as certain architectural features. Buildings adjacent to Beatty's Ford and Trinity Roads will front internal streets. Pitched roofs will have a minimum slope of 5/12. All corner end units will will have wraparound porches or stoops. Blank walls shall be limited to no more than 15 feet for front facades facing public streets. Maximum building height is limited to 48 feet. Following landscape, streetscape, and site improvements are proposed. 12-foot multi-use path, 8-foot planting strip will be installed along Beatty's Ford Road. 8-foot sidewalk and 8-foot planting strip will be installed along Trinity Road. 20 visitor spots and 5 commercial parking spots for the live work units are proposed, and a 25-foot buffer is proposed adjacent to Beatty's Ford Road between the buildings. Staff recommends approval of this petition upon resolution of outstanding issues related to transportation. As the proposal increases the variety of housing types in the area, with the majority of the site providing duplex, triplex, and quadruplex unit types that are generally aligned with the neighborhood one place type. Also proposes 5 live work units, which may provide small scale neighborhood oriented businesses that align with the commercial and neighborhood one place types. The site is adjacent to elementary school, regional park, shopping center, several churches, and within a 2-mile biker transit ride of the neighborhood activity center. Since the staff analysis was drafted, the petitioner has informed me that outstanding issues were due to a drawing error on the site plan itself, and that has been resolved. Happy to take any questions at this time.
Thank you very much, Max. We could never forget you. Anyone else have questions? I've got Commissioner Lansdale's got a hand up.
Yeah, and maybe some transportation issues. I think we should be able to fit a few more buildings into this site plan, but that's not really the issue I want to talk to you about today. But if you could go back to your satellite of the site, Trinity Road, there we go. This is an important corner lot. I know it's a massively busy road. It used to be that was the bikeway up to Lake Norman on Beatty's Ford Road, but it's not that way. It hadn't been that way for a long time. However, Trinity Road, if we allow these 3 units that are up front or on Trinity Road to be that tightly spaced, if we allow an 8-foot sidewalk and an 8-foot planting strip here, so goes the rest of Trinity. Nothing is as close to the road on Trinity as this site plan will allow. So I'm going to probably be the lone opposition vote on that one, but I'd like to see more of a buffer. And I apologize to the petitioner that we didn't talk about this prior, but I'd like to see more of a buffer along Trinity and move those buildings to the same type of application as you see on Beatty's Ford Road. I think it's significant because Trinity is a transit route. It's an active route, and forcing in extra buildings right there at the edge just doesn't seem right for this particular rezoning. And that's why I'll be voting in opposition.
Thank you, Commissioner Lansdale. Does anyone else have a question? I have a question. Guys, I used to ask you all the time about staff, about 3s and 4s and N1s and N2s and things of that nature. And in N2, Max, I think you said no more than 5 of these units would be together.
No more than 5 dwelling units per building.
Is there a maximum on that?
In the N2 district?
In the N2 district.
My computer just died, but I'm not familiar with the maximum for attached multi-well.
Okay, because at one point in time, I think we had one that was like 9 units and somebody wanted to be broken up.
We typically don't like to see more than 5 or 6, but I don't believe I'll double check to see if there's a requirement, but I don't think there's a limitation on how many can be attached. There's a building length limitation, but there's not a amount of units that are limited. So it's just the length of the building, and I think that's maybe 450.
Okay, that could be a lot of 18-foot wide townhouses.
I'll look and see.
Yeah. Okay. I mean it was just when I heard that it was okay. Do we have more discussion that you guys want to take to everybody, or we're working it out? You sure?
I don't know. I just wonder I don't want to suspend session, but it feels weird to me that the retention pond is the closest thing to the bus stop. I feel like units should be the closest thing to the bus stop, but that's just me as a transit rider.
Is that retention pond above ground? I'm assuming it
appears
is.
to be so. I mean, the site is not fully engineered, but as you know, water flows downhill, so they often put the pond at the lowest point of the site. And
Sense of the account's gone.
yeah.
There's so many comments that could be made here, but we're going to go on forward.
Just to clarify, it's what I got my numbers confused. It's 150 feet. There is an ability to go increase that length to 400 feet if things like garages and other vehicular access are located to the side or rear of the building. But typically it's 150 foot.
Okay, all right. That's much more reasonable because
I knew there was 400 in there somewhere, but that's if you do certain things, you can unlock that.
Commissioner Seeley, are you okay with the pond being there? I mean,
I think if you look at the actual site plan, there's a little bit more nuance to it than this overlay that we have.
Yeah.
As far as accessing the
Well,
frontage.
now that Terry said Big Hill, I know where this site is. So I was there like 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
So that makes a little more sense now.
Any more questions, comments? If not, do I hear a motion for the disposition of item number 15 on our agenda?
Motion to approve Wilden, having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition, I move that we recommend 2023-155 as it appears before us.
Second.
It's been moved by Wilden and seconded by Neely. Girl power. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
We've got, that one passes 5-1. Commissioner Lansdale, will you issue forth your other opinion?
The change in land use from CG to N2B is inappropriate at this time, the way the site plan is designed. And the site plans association for allowing for an 8-foot sidewalk and an 8-foot planting strip along Trinity Road is insufficient for safe transportation and 10-minute neighborhoods. Thank you.
Got that, Max? Good. On to item number 16 on our agenda, rezoning petition number 2023-166 by Milburn Devant and Emma. You've been quiet all night. We did not miss you either. Who's my favorite? Dua Lipa is the favorite. Just saying.
2023-166 is approximately 0.396 acres located at the northwest intersection of Pinckney Avenue and East 28th Street, south of Matheson Avenue. The current zoning is N1C and the proposed zoning is N1D. The 2040 policy map calls for neighborhood 1. This petition is conventional, therefore there is no associated site plan. The petition is consistent with the 2040 policy map recommendation for neighborhood 1, and the petition is appropriate and compatible because N1D is a primary residential zoning district with adjacency to N1C. The N1D zoning district allows for the development of residential dwellings on lots of 3,500 square feet or greater. There is a bus access along North Davidson Street within a half-mile of the site, as well as the subject property is located within access to housing gap via the equitable growth framework. Access to housing is a high priority needed in this area, according to the EGF community reports. This petition could potentially help address the housing needs with a slightly more intense zoning district. I will take any questions you may have.
Thank you, Emma. Do we have any questions, comments?
No.
If not, do I hear a motion for the disposition of item number 16 on our agenda?
Motion to approve Seeley, having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff. To approve this petition, I move that we recommend approval of petition number 2023-166 and the adoption of the consistency statement as it appears right up there.
Thank you. And that's it. The boom shakalaka. Again, we get it the other way this time. It's been moved by Seeley and seconded by Neely. All those in favor of this motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And those opposed? That passes 6-0. We're on to item number 17, rezoning petition number 2023-167 by Beacon Properties. And Holly, I guess you've been hanging out there. Come talk to us.
Still here. All right, this site is a little over 5.5 acres on the west side of Atondo Avenue, north of North Tryon Street. This is in an area that has been largely industrial, especially along Atondo Avenue, but we're seeing some shifts to more activity center uses and zoning, especially along North Tryon, where we've had MUD and TOD rezoning cases. The proposal is to go to manufacturing logistics, to go from manufacturing logistics to innovation mixed use. And that is inconsistent with the policy map's recommendation for manufacturing logistics here. However, I will note, again, we're seeing a lot of shift in the zoning and uses in this area, and applying IMU here would actually create a preferred transition between the activity centers and the MNL that's on the north side of Atondo, or sorry, north of this site, further along Atondo. We also think that the shifts will be furthered in this area by the street conversion project for Atondo Avenue. And I'll also point out that 2023-103, which is just east of this site on the east side of Atondo Avenue, was approved for IMU recently. So there is some IMU adjacency. This map just hasn't been updated yet since that was a recent approval. It is a conventional petition, so there's no associated site plan. We recommend approval of this petition. Like I said, this really creates a preferred transition for us. And it's also in alignment with the North Graham, North Tryon Street Corridors of Opportunity program. And that the Corridors program really looks to create areas that have a balanced mix of uses to service residents, and shifting this site to IMU with uses that are less noxious in nature, but still allow for some light industrial uses in addition to residential and commercial. That's more in alignment with the Corridors program and what we expect to see in this area as it continues to shift. And I'll take any questions.
Thank you, Holly. Got a question, Commissioner Seeley?
I just want to point out one thing. I brought this up at the Rangewater rezoning as well, where they went to IMU. I'm still confused by IMU. Even though I feel like I'm one of the people that helped birth it when I was on the Ordinance Advisory Committee. But, you know, Rangewater is a residential user. I don't see them rehabbing any building on that site, but they felt that was the proper site, proper designation for them. Beacon is a commercial, a residential, and an industrial user, so it does make a little bit of sense. But I'm still confused by IMU as a whole and the things that it allows, and I just wanted to make that statement on the record.
Thank you. Anyone else got a question? Holly, I will ask a question. Corridors of Opportunity, is that all along Atondo or is it up and down Tryon?
So this is a Corridors of Opportunity influence area, which is a layer on Charlotte Explorer, if you want to turn that on. And it's because this site is between North Graham Street and North Tryon Street. And so that sandwich, that whole area is within the Corridors of Opportunity influence area. So each corridor has its associated area. So it's not strictly limited to sites that have frontages on those streets that are called out in the corridor's title, and includes the surrounding areas.
Okay, thank you. I just don't have the corridors map in my mind. I vaguely know which direction it's in, but I didn't have a specific map.
Yeah, North Graham, North Tryon, and then, those areas in between are the influence areas.
Okay, I will be clicking on my little overlay layer and all will be good. Let's see, what do we need now? Do I hear a motion for approval of this or for the disposition of this petition number 17 on our agenda?
Rebecca, motion to approve, having reviewed the petition. Sorry, I need to read and look. and consider the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve, I move that we recommend approval of petition number 2023-167 as it appears before us.
Second, Seeley.
It's been moved by Wilden and properly seconded by Seeley. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That passes 6-0. We're on to item number 18 on our agenda, rezoning petition number 2023-168 by Cutter Family Properties LLC. Holly, once again, you get to give us the good word.
This one looks like Batman. It does.
I'm sorry, that is no Batman that I have ever seen.
Millennium Falcon. There we go.
Okay. Yeah. Now we know how the Greeks got their constellations, and Rebecca is not an ancient Greek, I think is what we're saying.
Definitely French.
Anyway, Holly, it's your turn.
Yeah, thank you. So this area is just over 9 acres. It's on the north and the south sides of Dalton Avenue, west of Plymouth Avenue. Also similarly to the last one, this is obviously an area where we've had a lot of historical industrial uses, but you can see here in that aerial imagery, it has proximity to single family character neighborhoods. So the area isn't necessarily meant to stay in that MNL type of use and zoning. It is currently zoned manufacturing logistics 2, and they're proposing to go to innovation mixed use. And I will say, as of right now, that's halfway consistent with what the policy map calls for. So part of the policy map calls for commercial. If we can go to the next slide, I don't know, it's just frozen. Yeah, so the part of the policy map that calls for commercial, all that in red has actually been identified to be changed in the revised draft version of the policy map to IMU. And so that's as a result of the community area planning process and the conversations that they've been having with those communities, as well as their own internal assessments of the policy map. And so that will all shift to IMU, but as it stands, this is halfway inconsistent and halfway consistent with the policy map's recommendations. Sorry. This is also a conventional petition, so there is no associated site plan. Also, similarly to the last one, this is part of the area of influence for the North Graham, North Tryon Street corridors of opportunity. So shifting it away from manufacturing logistics to IMU is more in alignment with the uses that the corridors program would like to see in this type of area. It also creates a better transition between that adjacent single-family residential area and the commercial and industrial uses that we see along Dalton Avenue. I'll take any questions that you have.
Thank you very much, Holly. Does anyone have any questions or comments on this particular petition? Commissioner Seeley.
Just echoing my previous comments on IMU district.
Do we have any other comments? And we have seen a lot of IMU over the last 3-ish months. Yeah. So I think I understand it, but well,
I thought I understood it until the range water, because even the website says mostly non-residential land uses, and I know that previous rezoning for IMU by range water, you look at their portfolio, they are only a residential developer. So I think that this might be something that we need to look at from a text amendment standpoint.
Okay. Anybody else got comments? Commissioner Lansdale?
I just hope, I didn't say anything during the Atondo Avenue one and this one on Dalton, but just pulling up the Tryon Street plan. Again, both of these areas get a D- and a D. So for pedestrian level of service and bicycle level of service accordingly, I think the highest ranking for that is a C-. But hopefully the changes and plans for roadway improvements and facility design are going to make that a better area, especially as Commissioner Seeley just indicated that the likelihood of increased residential active mobility in this area is going to be critical for making right transportation choices in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lansdale. Holly, you have said in the past that Atondo Avenue is getting a bike lane, correct? Is anything, or are there pedestrian improvements that come with the corridors program that would be affecting this Dalton Avenue adventure?
So the pedestrian improvements would really be triggered during the land development process.
Okay.
And of course, they'll be required to do the typical sidewalk and planting strip improvements that we would see with a redevelopment, assuming that they're not doing entirely adaptive reuse and not expanding any building envelopes. But I don't know about any sort of street conversion similarly to Atondo Avenue. That'd be a question for CDOT about what's planned for Dalton Avenue.
See that, folks, since we've got you on the line, can you give us just anything you might know in that regard of Dalton Avenue and any holistic improvements from a pedestrian point of view?
Yeah, so along Atondo through to Tryon, there's a CIP project. So they would work with them, like Holly said, during permitting in order to meet all their requirements based off of what they come in to permitting with.
All righty. Yeah, but how about for Dalton? Do you know anything about what's going on in Dalton? And it's not required for us to know that for this petition, but we're just trying to get ahead of the curve here, I guess.
Yeah, no, everything that we have for any CIP projects you can find on Charlotte Explorer. Besides that, there would, end up being like a special project or something along those lines.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? If not, do we have a motion for the disposition of item number 18 on our agenda?
Motion Seeley, having reviewed the petition and consider the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition, I move that we recommend approval of petition number 2023-168 as it appears before us and the adoption of the consistency statement.
Second, Wilden.
It's been moved by Seeley and seconded by Wilden. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes 6-0. We're up to item number 19 and only about 5 or 6 items away from the end. Rezoning petition number 2023-169 by D.R. Horton. And
Looks like Pikachu.
this one looks like Pikachu, she says. Again, we are not counting on you to give us constellations in the sky. Claire Dave, could you please take us through this?
Sure. 2023-169 is about 34 acres. It is primarily off of Bending Branch Road, west of I-485, north of Albemarle Road. Access would typically be provided there off of Lemon Farm Drive through that existing road there to the south. It is currently zoned MX1 as part of a larger project that was rezoned several years ago. It is slated for a neighborhood 2 policy or place type on the policy map. The proposal would be for up to 124 single-family attached townhomes, limiting height up to 48 feet. Principal buildings on the site would be no more than 28. Access would be from Lemon Farm Drive, as well as from Brisley Road. Petitioner would implement improvements to achieve multimodal mitigation points, such as bringing the curb ramps into ADA compliance, and providing accessible pedestrian signals on both sides of Denver, and then also removing the channelization from the southbound turn lane and provide restriping if necessary. Relocate pedestrian pole in that channelization island and relocate to the corners. Some of the items that were proposed at the hearing, there were some changes to that following the hearing, but we'll talk about those in just a minute. Does propose a 25-foot wide buffer next to the area zoned N1A. Does allow for some limitation or preference for external building materials. Does prohibit things like vinyl siding, except on soffits, doors, and trim. Does also note that buildings would have a porch or a stoop oriented toward the street, and also that the site would comply with the tree ordinance. And they will also be dedicating a portion, 0.63 acres, of a park to Mecklenburg County Park and Rec prior to the first CO. You can see that just at the intersection there of Lemon Farm Drive and the neighboring road, which I don't know the name off the top of my head, Front Porch Avenue. So as mentioned, there were a couple of changes to address outstanding issues, nothing significant or substantial, but in an attempt to address those outstanding issues, the petitioner did submit some of the required information that CDOT was looking for. And there's still one remaining issue, and it's really not a large issue, just the wording that they submitted as part of their CTR requirements for some of those mitigation points just didn't have the exact language that CDOT was looking for. So they need to just modify some of the wording, shouldn't modify any of the outcomes of the CTR that they had provided. Again, it's just some verbiage and just grammar that was in there. So looking for just a quick change on that. Doesn't see any real issues with it. Staff does recommend approval, and we'll take any questions.
Thank you, Dave. Does anyone have any questions, comments? Hearing none, do I hear a motion for disposition of item number 19 on our agenda?
Neely, motion to approve, having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition. I move that we recommend approval of petition number 2023-169 as it appears before us.
Second, Winokur.
It's been moved by Neely and seconded by Winokur. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And those who are opposed? None. So we have, this one passes 6-0. We're up to item number 20 on our agenda, rezoning petition number 2023-170 by BVB Properties LLC. Michael, would you take us through this one, please?
Sure. This is approximately 1.57 acres located on the east side of North Tryon Street, south of Orr Road and north of Old Concord Road. The current zoning is ML2, Manufacturing and Logistics. The proposed zoning is IMU, Innovation Mixed Use. The policy map calls for innovation mixed use at this site. It is conventional, so there's no site plan with this one. And it's consistent with the policy map and no outstanding issues, and staff does recommend approval.
Thank you very much, Michael. Do we have any questions or comments from anyone? I would just, in sympathy with Commissioner Seeley, I would just say that, you know, we've talked about IMU being a transitional district. I don't know if staff is going to track these, and, you know, a couple of years from now, we're going to come back and say, look, all these IMUs turned into fill in the blank.
Affordable housing.
Affordable housing, yeah, whatever. But I mean, it would just, I would expect that we would see less IMUs as time went on, perhaps. I'm not sure, but that's, it's just an interesting point for us to be aware of. Commissioner Seeley.
No, and I just want to point out the whole reason why IMU, I feel like, came up was, you know, we were talking to the consultants who were working on this, and I didn't see anything that looked like Camp North End in their presentations. And then the next presentation, we had an IMU, and there were literally drawings of Camp North End on it. And, you know, I see it not just as a transitional thing, but interesting places that have all types of uses. And I think that's what our ethos is here. I just don't know that we're holding people to that ethos.
All right, we're good. Michael, do you have something you want to add?
I was just going to say, with a lot of the IMU, well, things that were formerly industrial, a lot of those uses were taken out. And so we've had a lot of rezonings that go from, I2 to IMU. So some of that.
We did 1 month, we had the whole bunch over on Tuckasegee, J Street, Gesco, whatever. Those kind of made sense. And I guess some of these do too, but again, I'm just curious the long-term effect of that. So we need to get a motion on this one. So do I have a motion? Or did we do a motion already?
Nope.
Nope.
Motion Sealy, to approve. Having reviewed this petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition, I move that we recommend approval of petition 2023-10170 as it appears before us, and the adoption of the consistency statement as it also appears before us.
Sorry.
Do I have a second?
Lansdale second.
It's been moved by Sealy. I work with some of the finest people in the world. And moved by Sealy and seconded properly by Lansdale. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Yeah. Item number 21 on our agenda tonight, rezoning petition number 2023-171 by Strategic Capital Partners. That one looks like Batman, doesn't it?
No, that's a rhombus.
It's a rhombus? Oh, it is. It's a Cybertruck. I think we've hit it. Emma, would you take us through this little Cybertruck adventure here?
This is petition 2023-171. It is approximately 2.2 acres located on the north side of Walker's Ferry Road, west of Interstate 485 and south of Old Down Road. I just want to point out that this area is encapsulated with 3 parcels. So just keep that in mind as we move to the place type map. So the current zoning is N1A and the proposed zoning is ML2, Manufacturing and Logistics 2. The 2040 policy map calls for neighborhood 1. However, if you do see the surrounding area, it is zoned manufacturing and logistics. So it is a very misplaced kind of hole within the direction that this area is headed in at the moment. And that's why I just wanted to point out that all 3 parcels are part of this rezoning. So it kind of encapsulate the rest of that manufacturing and logistics transition. The staff does recommend approval for this petition, even though the petition is inconsistent because the subject parcel borders other properties with the ML place type designation and zoning to the north, east, and west. Most of the property across Walker's Ferry Road is also designated as manufacturing and logistics, apart from a small portion of remaining N1. And I just also want to point out that with the location, the subject property consists of 3 remnant N1 parcels surrounded by larger manufacturing and logistic designations and is not viable to remain N1. It's also had limited adjacency to existing N1 land uses and zoning and is in close proximity to I-485. In addition, if you were to pull up the policy map on your computer, this area is far more encapsulated and showing a transition to manufacturing and logistics than this map shows. So I just kind of wanted to point that out as you guys may ask questions. So I will take any questions with this petition. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Emma. Does anyone have any questions, comments? All righty. Do I hear a motion for the disposition of this item number 21 on our agenda?
This is Lansdale, motion to approve. Having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition to move, we recommend the approval of petition number 2023-171 as it appears before us in the adoption of the consistency statement, if it's okay with Commissioner Sealy, as it appears before us.
Second, Sealy.
It has been moved by Commissioner Lansdale, seconded by Commissioner Sealy. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes 6-0. We're up to item number.
Here's the trouble.
Which item are we up to? 22? Okay. Rezoning petition number 2023-174 by BBB Property or BBB Properties LLC. Max, you are unforgettable. Please continue to make us believe that.
Petition 2023-172 is located on the southeast intersection of Mount Holly Huntersville Road and Lawing School Road, west of Bellhaven Boulevard. The site is approximately 0.78 acres and is currently undeveloped. The current zoning is B1 CD neighborhood business. The proposed zoning is CG CD general business. The 2040 policy map recommends the commercial place type. The CG district is consistent with the commercial place type. Proposal calls for up to 7,250 square feet of non-residential or the development of up to 2,300 square feet of drive-through establishment. More specifically, no more than 1,100 square feet if it is a coffee shop. Limits the total number of principal buildings to no more than 2. The site is an out parcel abutting Rosel's Crossing Shopping Center and will be considered a planned and unified development with the existing shopping center. Plan specifically prohibits certain uses such as adult gaming establishments, outdoor entertainment, car wash, gas station, that sort of thing. Access to the site will be from existing internal driveway network of the Rosel's Crossing Shopping Center. No new driveway connections are permitted to access Mount Holly Huntersville Road or Lawing School Road. ADA compliant bus stop will be constructed along the frontage of Mount Holly Huntersville Road. The proposed plan commits to the construction of a 12-foot multi-use path, an 8-foot playing strip on Mount Holly Huntersville Road, a 6-foot sidewalk, and 8-foot playing strip on the site's frontage of Lawing School Road. Buildings will be constructed predominantly of brick and will be compatible in design with the existing architecture of the Rosel's Crossing Shopping Center. Staff recommends approval of this petition as the plan is consistent with the policy map. Recommendation for the commercial place type. Site is an existing shopping center out parcel, prohibits certain noxious uses, and makes transportation and streetscape improvements. Happy to take any questions.
Thanks very much, Max. Do we have any questions or comments from the commission? Commissioner Lansdowne.
Yeah, it's lots of issues there. I appreciate that. I think not too far away tonight, we approved a, I don't know, was it a car wash? So, it's if you wouldn't mind bringing up the site plan again, I'd prefer to look at that one while I chat. I know that there was a lot of conversation in the public hearing about them trying to limit the access points as part of the existing building structure and parking lots. Just it's hard for me personally and professionally to approve a land use change from what it was to what it wants to be because of the types of uses and allowance of drive-throughs in the facility. So I'm hesitant about supporting this one as it sits, but I'm not sure what the solution would be otherwise. So.
All right. Thank you very much, Commissioner Lansdale. Do I have comments or anything from anyone else? Hearing none, do I hear a motion for the disposition of item number 22 on our agenda?
I'll give it a shot, but it's not going to be what folks are wanting to make popular. But we'll play out the Robert's Rules of Order here. This is Lansdale. Having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff, I recommend denial of this position. I move that we recommend denial of the petition number 2023172 as it appears before us, and the adoption of the consistency statement is denied as well as it appears before us.
Second, Seeley.
We have a motion that's been made by Commissioner Lansdale, has been seconded by Commissioner Seeley. Let's get the drill right here. All those in favor of the denial, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
We need 30 seconds.
I know. I'm pondering now.
Remember the woman from the hearing?
Yeah, I know.
She was very sweet.
I know she's sweet. I'm gonna nay
Some cherry.
because it's not going, I'm gonna nay because it's not going to make any difference. I agree with, and we'll get to that petition is denied 5-1. I agree with the comments that Commissioner Lansdale has said, but I don't see a way inside of the rezoning process to fix some of the issues that you may have. And so therefore, I can't quite go along with the denial.
Defer for more,
We
a more
Well, we put it.
This is
yeah.
Lance, though. Can I ask a quick follow-up, just since you raised a question?
Yeah.
Regarding about the process for the rezoning?
Yeah.
So because we don't approve the new zoning, would that mean that the drive-throughs would be disallowed?
Well, under B1, my understanding is it's B1 now. We could put those drive-throughs in there, right?
Yeah.
The existing zoning on the ground would allow drive-through. So,
Thanks for the clarification. That's
Yes.
the point I was trying to make, was that do we need to approve a rezoning to do more? Or will this already be solved by the existing zoning?
but the question comes down to, I guess, the issue of what other uses and benefits party in the CG zoning as opposed to B1, which is that thing where we go pick up the table, like Alan said, and the possibilities for what could happen. Beside the things that you may not want to happen, there could be other things that could happen in there. And I believe that the CG zoning would perhaps give us more options going forward in the future than the B1 zoning with the CD on it. Because and not knowing what the CD is on the B1. So, that's how I'm falling on my side of this. This petition has been denied, so, we may see it again, is what I suspect.
Yeah, thanks for the clarification and commentary. We appreciate you.
Yeah. I mean,
Like, as I say, not sure we can solve it, as you said, what
Yeah.
the solution is, why this, but
yeah, all right. All right, folks, we're up to item number 23 on our agenda.
you'll need to, did you get?
Can you extract some of what I said
Yes, I can.
to be,
Yeah.
yeah,
And since you're not going with staff's recommendation
Sorry, y'all, go ahead.
for the consistency statement.
yeah, you guys, the eyes have to come up with a consistency statement. So, yeah.
Terry's got this. That's right. Well, I don't know about that, but yeah, as I said in the statement, I'm not sure that the change in zoning is consistent to allow for restrictions for drive-throughs. And the disagreement with staff is that the uses can be within the framework of the existing zoning.
Thank you very much.
No, I got that.
Petition 2023-175 is just shy of 10 acres located on the north side of Westinghouse Boulevard, west of Old Nations Ford Road, and east of Interstate 45. Current zoning is ML2. Proposed zoning is ML1 CD. The 2040 policy map recommends manufacturing and logistics place type. And similar to other petitions you have seen, the uses of major and minor vehicle repair facilities require conditional zoning. So there's no site plan, just the development standards that allow for all uses permitted in the ML1 zoning district, and specifically the major and minor vehicle repair facilities uses. It's consistent with the policy map. Staff recommends approval, and I'll take any questions.
Thank you very much, Joe. Any questions, comments? We have seen this drill recently a bunch with major and minor auto repair. I'm not sure if that seeing that is a good thing or not, but Commissioner Lansdale's question.
Joe, can you pull up the map again? Sorry. That one there. Okay. So we're not going to have any increased buffers. I mean, on 485 or along Westinghouse, it's all going to be kind of where that's going to remain the same. We're not putting.
Correct. The existing property occupant, the United Rentals, just wants the ability to repair vehicles on site, but there will be no changes to the site overall.
Yeah, and
That's part of the reason.
Yeah, this is off of Westinghouse, so, 485 just is that thing that goes across you. You don't notice. Any other comments, questions? Do I hear a motion for the disposition on item number 23?
Motion to approve Sealy, having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition. I move that we recommend approval of petition number 2023-175 and the adoption of both, as it appears before us, and the adoption of the consistency statement. I just don't like it saying it twice.
Yes. Thank you. We have a second a motion by Commissioner Sealy. Do we have a second?
Neely, second.
Yes. It takes such little things to get us happy. Been moved by Sealy and seconded by Neely. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That passes 6-0. And on to our final petition of the evening, petition number 2023-176. This petition is, thank you, Max. Tell us about this petition.
I will
Save
tell
the
you
best
about
for
this
last.
petition. Petition 2023-176 is located on the northeast side of Paul Creek Road, east of Little Rock Road. The site's approximately 14.85 acres in size and is currently the site of one single-family dwelling. Current zoning is N1A, Neighborhood 1. The proposed zoning is N2A CD, Neighborhood 2, a conditional district. The 2040 policy map recommends the Neighborhood 1 place type for the site. The N2A district is inconsistent with the N1 place type. Approval of this petition would revise the 2040 policy map recommendation to the Neighborhood 2 place type. The proposal calls for up to 127 duplex, triplex, quadruplex dwellings under a multifamily dwelling use. Buildings are limited to no more than 4 dwelling units, with quadruplexes making up no more than 50% of the units on site. Vehicular access to the site is from Paul Creek via a private street. Primary exterior building materials may consist of brick, glass, stone, synthetic equivalent, stucco, EIFS, metal, cementitious, or wood siding. Vinyl may not be used as primary building material, and unfinished concrete masonry units are prohibited. Pitched roofs will have a minimum slope of 412. Usable front porches or stoops will be the predominant feature on units fronting public streets. End units abutting Paw Creek will include covered stoops and limit blank wall expanses to 10 feet. Otherwise, blank walls shall not exceed 20 feet for any of the buildings. Meter banks located outside the right of way located outside of setbacks will be screened from public view. The petitioner has addressed several outstanding issues related to site and building design and the environment, including committing to a maximum of 4 units per building, and a commitment to a minimum ratio of building types, providing landscape yards along the northern property boundary and removing or relocating the dumpster from this location, enhancing design of buildings abutting Paw Creek. They've provided a tree survey and ensuring that the site has adequate internal plantings, totaling an equivalent of 40-foot on-center spacing along all streets and alleys. Staff does not recommend approval of this petition in current form, as the proposed development pattern is not compatible with the surrounding context of the area and the land use recommendations for the Neighborhood 1 place type. As the proposed multi-dwelling development utilizes private alleys, the site is not served by public transit, lacks a comprehensive sidewalk network or bike facilities, and is not within a half-mile walk or 2-mile bike or transit ride of essential amenities, goods, or services. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much, Max. Mr. Anybody got any questions, comments?
Yeah, I'm going to be challenged by this one. This is Lansdale. I just think it's a bit, it's an elephant squashing an ant at this point. But my question for Max is that do we have anything, and I'm sorry, I don't have this at my fingertips, but do we have any other rezoning that's anywhere close to this density? Anywhere near this particular parcel?
I can't recall any rezonings near this parcel specifically. I'd have to look at a map. It's kind of far out there. I mean, it's not far from 485. Sorry, my computer's dead. Emma, can we go back to the bird's eye? Yeah, as you can see, there's not a whole lot in this area. As you head north, you'll end up at Freedom Drive. You head south, I believe you'll end up at Wilkinson, but nothing really in between.
Yep. Thank you, Max. Yep.
Anybody else?
I'll actually say that I do support this petition. I think attainable housing within 485 is basically non-existent in the city of Charlotte. I believe these are supposed to be in the 300s, which, a few years ago was definitely not considered attainable, but these days that's about as good as we get. So I just wanted to say that there are definitely issues as far as density goes in this area. But for the most part, I support this one.
I will echo Commissioner Seeley's comment about housing. One of the things we have to choose between is housing and sometimes design standards, or the notion that we're putting a white elephant out in the middle of nowhere sort of adventure. I do believe that it is an imperative for us to consider housing. I got a note from the petitioner's agent that indicated that this project would be eligible for the House Charlotte Down Payment Assistance Program, which would, again, help people get into housing in this particular area. If we were to look at every area and say, oh, no one would want to live out there, we'd all still be living inside 277, I suspect, but that is not the case. And again, for better or for worse, somebody's going to find this to be the perfect place for them to have a home. And the fact that they can actually acquire it at the very affordable $300,000 price range, I think is not an opportunity for us to squander. And so I would be very much in support of this in terms of just let's get some, with me, it's always, what's next to it and how much housing is it going to get us? And this is going to get us a good bit. So that's my tirade, and I'm looking to see if I can find some more information about rezonings that are in the area. And Terry, the map looks pretty sparse out here. There's one over at Moore's Chapel and one on Rhine. But other than that, there's probably 5 or 6 square miles with just those 3 in it. Anyone else have any comments, questions? If not, do I hear a motion for the disposition of this petition?
Motion to approve Seeley. Having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition, I move that we recommend approval of petition number 2023-176, as well as the adoption of the associated consistency statement as they appear before us.
Second, Neely.
I turned it on for me.
Hey, you guys do the steel cage death match later. This has been moved by Seeley and seconded by Neely. All those in favor of this petition, which we will have to craft a consistency statement for because we are in opposition. Yeah, well, I mean, we'll get that. All those in favor of approving this petition, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
All right, that goes 5-1. Now we have to come up with a consistency statement, and then we will do the dissenter's opinion. So Commissioner Seeley, knock it out of the park for me.
Yeah, okay, so choosing to go against staff in this case, because we feel, or I feel, and hopefully those that are along with me, feel that we need to take necessary steps to create pathways to attainable housing for citizens of Charlotte. While this plan is not perfect, it definitely helps us get to that point.
That good, Max? Commissioner Lansdale.
Well, we didn't do that with the other one, but that's okay. This one, I agree with staff in that the density and type of housing is inconsistent with the neighboring properties in the area for a variety of transportation reasons as well. Without a guarantee for affordable housing, that's another reason why this is in line with staff as well. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of our program here tonight. Commissioner Lansdale, do you have one more comment?
Yeah, I want to, if I may take one moment of everybody's time, tonight, when I look at the complement of petitions that we had, it really was a difficult transportation perspective for the types of petitions that we have, the hard decisions that this zoning committee has to make week in and week out. Nonetheless, what staff goes through and working with petitioners and property owners, it's just a real challenge as we move forward trying to make this city better. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will just comment on that. As I say always, let us, as a committee, let us reach out to the residents of the area. Let us reach out to the petitioners agents, make sure that we do as much of the work that we can do before we get in the room that we can. And that will help us. We are over a little bit tonight, but it's fun. We had more fun here than we could possibly ever imagine. Do you hear a motion for us to adjourn this thing? All right, we are so done, and get out of here, folks. Let's stick a fork in it.